welcome back to Let's Talk Shop. You're listening to Season 5, Episode 3. And today I am joined by Sara Ittelson, who is the Head of Strategic Partnership at Faire.com, a curated wholesale marketplace connecting more than 170,000 local retailers with thousands of emerging and established brands. Sara has a depth of experience in business development, product partnership, and strategic partnerships in hyper-growth marketplace businesses. Prior to joining Faire, Sara was in global business development at Uber. I love speaking to Sara. It was so brilliant to hear things from someone at Faire. I know all of you have constantly been asking lots of questions about it. I can see my Facebook group being filled with questions about third-party marketplace platforms for wholesale on a pretty much weekly basis now. And it's something that everyone's wondering about. And I've also had a lot of questions about how one can be successful on these platforms. And I did go live in the Facebook group. It's a free group. It's called Let's Talk Wholesale over on Facebook with Jana from The Completist, and she gave us so much information and tips from a brand's point of view. And I'm really excited to today bring you my chat with Sara about tips and what you can do to be successful on a platform like Faire from the platform's point of view. So really hope that you enjoy this episode today, and if you do, I'd love to see where you are tuning in. You can tag me over on Instagram. I'm small_business_collaborative, and here's my chat with Sara from Faire.com. Hello, Sara. I am so happy to have you here on the podcast today. Welcome to Let's Talk Shop.
Thanks so much for having me.
And thank you. It's great that we managed to do this. So with you being over in the US and me being here in the UK, so that's brilliant.
Absolutely. I'm having my coffee, and hopefully you're winding down after this.
Well, I'm going to go and see my friend's puppy.
Even better.
I know. I mean, well, it will have to be kind of like out in the garden because we're not supposed to go to people's houses. But
well, the garden is perfect for a puppy visit. So that sounds like you found the right activity.
It's going to be great. So I have an exciting afternoon. I've been wanting to talk to you guys at Faire for a while because I always get asked so much about the platform and, you know, what it is and how you can be successful on it and all these sort of things. So I'm hoping we can cover some of that today.
Absolutely.
But before we kind of get into it, could you tell us a little bit more about what you do at Faire, and maybe if there's anyone that don't know what Faire is?
Yeah, absolutely. So Sara Ittelson, I head partnerships at Faire, and that encompasses a lot of things. But we might touch on this, but we negotiate, lower shipping rates with freight carriers. We integrate with other software systems to streamline business processes for our customers. So those things all kind of fall under the partnerships bucket at Faire. I've been here about 2 years, but the company is a little over 4 years old. And we are an online B2B marketplace. We're currently serving over 170,000 retailers. And so we're a place where those retailers shop online to stock for their stores. And they're doing so from 15,000 really unique brands that sell amazing goods across a bunch of categories, including gift, home decor, women's apparel, beauty, jewelry, kids and baby, specialty food. So really diverse selection for those retailers and brands.
That's amazing. And I know quite a lot of UK brands are already involved and have been for a while selling in the US, but of course now you also launched here in the UK.
Yeah, exactly. We're really excited for the launch. The response has been really positive. In fact, we're surpassing our initial goals. And so really excited about the sort of the warmth of the reception. I think it shows us that retailers in the UK are also excited to move their ordering online, and how eager folks are for the rebound in foot traffic that we're all expecting when stores reopen.
I know it's going to be so. I missed it so much. How has it been over in the US? Have stores been? I suppose it's been different in different states.
It has. It's really varied, but I think something that has been consistent is just how I would say, creative and persistent, the local retail community has been during this time. It's been really just, inspiring to see how the retailers have responded, whether throughout those different stages of various lockdowns and the like. Just seen a lot of creativity and ingenuity, and as well as, the consumers wanting to really rally around their local businesses. And so all those things together have really meant that they've managed to, in many cases, accelerate their business despite a lot of uncertainty that they've been working through.
Hasn't it been amazing to see? I think it's also been really good for, not really, it seems weird to say really good when we're in
Mhm.
global pandemic, but I think it's been
Mhm.
better for smaller businesses than larger retailers.
I agree. I think they were able to move more quickly. And
Mm.
I think they also, I personally, I want to make sure that my local main street or high street is there and thriving, when we kind of get back to the normal swing of things. And I think everybody has that sense of the value of their local community. And it's really just heightened the degree to which we want to make sure that those, retailers in particular do well during this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you seen that I mean, because you are a constantly growing platform since you're not that old, but
Mhm.
have you seen that you've had even more buyers with the lack of sort of trade shows and that sort of thing find you?
I think that's definitely been the case. I think they were trends that were already happening within B2B transactions over the years. I think we had seen sort of, the decline around those events, and just the sense that, hey, the convenience that I have as a consumer, why shouldn't that or wouldn't that exist for my B2B transactions? And so I do think that this past year has formed some new, habits and norms around wholesale purchasing that will certainly persist and probably accelerate coming out of this time. So that's been, really interesting to observe. And it certainly has meant that, especially while those alternatives haven't been available, we've seen lots of retailers finding us on the platform, as well as lots of brands referring their retailers to shop them through Faire. We have some benefits. We don't charge a commission when it's an existing retailer. So it's really just an easy way for those brands to maintain that relationship, cultivate that business, extend better terms to the retailer, provide them a really easy way to shop their line during this time. And so those things together have really led to a lot of growth and adoption of the platform.
It was very timely, I think. It was where it was heading, but yeah, super timely. And with the UK launch, how are you focusing on the UK first and then branching out to more of Europe, or what's the plan there?
Yeah, we've launched in the UK, and we've also launched in the Netherlands.
Oh,
We
okay.
Yeah, we do have plans for other markets in the coming months. So that's a little stay tuned. It does mean that, we hope for folks in the UK, we can both strengthen their business within the UK market, provide easy trade cross border within Europe, as well as access to this huge audience of North American customers that I was mentioning, 170,000. It's a really huge base of potential customers. So we're hoping to be able to deliver for those brands across all three of those dimensions.
What do you do when you launch in a new market? How are you getting buyers to register? Because you have been registering UK brands and welcoming brands onto a platform from over here for a while, but how do you find buyers now?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. So we already had, hundreds of brands from the UK that we had selling on the platform previously. So the big change was sort of opening up the buyer side of the marketplace.
Yeah.
And, one of the biggest growth drivers has been that program that I mentioned before. It's called Fair Direct, where we offer 0% commission for any existing retailers that they bring onto Fair.
Hmm.
And so what we find is that for those brands, it's really fantastic that they can sort of streamline how they manage those accounts on our platform, as well as extend things like the net 60 payment terms that they often otherwise couldn't extend. So it's sort of, it's better for the retailer. They get these better terms and really easy online ordering. It's better for the brand because they can manage all of these accounts in one really streamlined place. And then we're doing that at no fee to the brand. So that's led to a lot of the brands inviting their existing retailers to the platform. And then the other thing would be we already had a lot of retailers who had heard about us
Yeah.
over the years. And so we had been maintaining a pretty extensive wait list of UK-based retailers. So it was really exciting to be able to come back to them and say, the time has come. We can welcome you. So, those things have contributed. And then the final thing I would say is I've really been students of the market and talking to a lot of small business owners and trying to understand what's top of mind. Obviously, there's been a lot of change, not just in global health, but also Brexit, changing the
Yeah.
ways that folks do trade. You've got a lot of things going on. And so we really spent a lot of time thinking through how we should adapt our offerings to make it easier for brands to do business in sort of this post-Brexit world. And so we've really made some changes in the product around, country-specific pricing or product-level tariff codes, things that I'm, only
Yeah.
learning about. And then what I mentioned at the top, things like negotiating competitive international shipping rates that we can extend to our community. So I think the third thing is really just focusing on how in this very unique climate for UK businesses in particular, can we tailor our product to really meet the needs of the moment?
I think that's great. And I think, certain things that a smaller supplier might not have had access to before is now available to them. How does it work in the UK now? Because, of course, some retailers will expect, if it's a UK retailer, they will expect free shipping or if they spend a certain amount. So how does that work?
Yeah. So we actually right now for a limited time are offering free shipping to European retailers. So that is certainly the case right now as we launch in the market, that all the shipping will be covered. Steady state, what we find is we offer something called Ship with Faire to our smaller brands. Like you said, it's sort of, the ability for us to negotiate something that they otherwise couldn't. So we're able to negotiate down those rates to be really competitive. And then in sort of the typical model, those shipping rates, do apply to the order. Although one of the promotion types that we offer that's also very popular on the platform is free shipping that brands can extend. So there's a few different options there, but I think the most exciting is that right now for anyone who's joining, this free shipping to European retailers is a really unique and generous offer. And our hope is that it's also a great window of time in which folks can get additional discovery by new customers where, if shipping costs would be the thing that might hold them back, we've removed that barrier in addition to the net terms that remove some of the add some protections, as well as the ability to do returns on your first order with a new brand. So you take those things in sum and they really, really de-risk trying a new line in your store, and opening up a new customer for that brand.
And when it's free shipping during this kind of launch phase, do you reimburse brands or do you send them shipping labels? How does it work?
Yeah, on Ship with Faire, they're really sort of just shipping on our account. So we know
Ah,
the charge. They print out a prepaid shipping label, and it's really straightforward. Or if they do ship on their own, they input the details of the order, and the price, and then we process that during the payment processing.
that's really good. What kind of buyers do you attract? So is it mainly smaller, independent boutiques, or do you also attract larger buyers?
Yeah, it's really the smaller independent boutiques, single store, maybe, 1 to 3, but really those local independent retailers are our core audience.
When you curate and look for new brands, what are you looking for? What does the buyers that are already buying on the platform, what do they want from a brand?
Something that we love is just the diversity and uniqueness of products that you can find on Faire. Truly
Yeah.
both sides of the marketplace are entrepreneurs who are, chasing a passion in the business that they founded. And so I love getting to know all of our brands because they all represent someone who had, a unique point of view and something that they wanted to exist in the world that didn't, and they went out and willed it into existence. And there's just something so inspiring about that. And so I think one piece of it is that our buyers really love to learn the brand story, and we've gone to great lengths in the product to have that really come to life, where you can learn a lot about the brand. They can add video content about their products. There's lots of opportunities for them to sort of bring that narrative to life. Also filters on different things like woman-owned business. If that's something that you are wanting to stock in your store, you can find brands that align with that value. And so I think that, one of the things that is most important to our buyers is just being able to, connect with those brands. And I think maybe a misnomer about, sourcing online would be that you lose that connection. And I'd say it's very much the opposite, where we've tried to really facilitate getting to know one another, and have tools not just to consume content about a brand, but then connect with them over email or messenger. So I'd say that is one of the overarching things that our retailers are looking for in suppliers. And then there's definitely some basics of, fantastic photography, so that they can really get a sense for what the product looks like. Folks who are an experienced wholesaler, do well because they have, kind of a well-run operation. Folks want to find the full catalog for a brand. So we always are encouraging folks to make sure that they have everything listed. We support products that are ready to sell now, as well as pre-orders. And so just, training your customer that everything that you have, as soon as it's available, the next new thing that you're offering is up on Faire. Those sorts of things are sort of, the baseline table stakes that I think buyers are looking for as well.
And I guess it's so nice. I mean, I think images are so important when you're shopping online. It's not the same as going to a physical trade show because you can't touch and feel. So you have to do the best you can. And I think video and photography can make such a difference in that sense.
Absolutely. And video is something that's relatively new. And we also allow a lot of different product shots and the ability to zoom in on a product. So there's lots of ways that you can sort of counteract that. In addition to, just as we experience as consumers, there's reviews on the site, so you can kind of hear from other retailers and see what they bought and hear what they had to say. So there's lots of ways to sort of validate. And then the ultimate safety net being that ability to, return if it shows up and it just doesn't sell through in the way that they thought it would.
Yeah, how does that work with the returns? Because it doesn't go back to the brand, does it?
You're right. So it's returns are, or a retailer can make a return on their first order with a new line. So that's when they haven't had, any sort of opportunity to touch and feel from that brand before. And if they make a return, it comes back to us, where we sort of inspect it and determine if it's still in pristine condition to be able to be resold through some sales channels on our site, or if it can't be resold. So we take on that risk of the return. And then if it is in pristine condition, then we do offer some sort of a sales space on our site, which is another place where retailers can find and discover new products. And there they also get them at an added discount.
Oh, okay. And do you find that a lot of retailers utilize that, or is it manageable with the returns?
It's extremely manageable. It's very rarely used, which I think speaks to the fact that folks actually are very skilled at identifying things that will sell well in their store. So it really is just that additional safety net, maybe for someone who this is their first time stocking their store online.
Yeah.
I liken it to that. I never would have thought I'd buy a mattress online. And sure enough, I've now
Yeah.
absolutely done that. And so I think especially for some of those buyers who are making this transition to sourcing their products online, it's nice to know that it's there, but it is very infrequently utilized.
That's probably quite reassuring for brands to know, because
Yeah.
I think they like knowing the kind of store that it goes into. So it's nice to hear that it's used respectfully.
Absolutely. And they do always on our platform have the opportunity to accept or deny an order. So all of their orders come in and then they have the opportunity to see who's buying their product and accept that order. So that ultimate decision right is always with the brand about where their product is sold.
And going back to like when brands, especially now when you're growing the UK market too, there might be brands that wouldn't have considered joining before that are now keen to join. So in terms of criteria of the brands, what do you ask for? How established do they have to be? Do they have to have stockist already? Do they have to have certain lead times? What is there any set criteria? Those are things that you have to be accepted to sell on the platform?
Yeah, there's definitely sort of those basics that anyone who has even limited experience doing wholesale, but that they would have sort of established. So they need wholesale pricing and essentially a line sheet with all of that pricing. They need product photography for all of their products, those sorts of things. And so what we find is that really the most important criteria is, do they have some prior experience doing wholesale? Where if you've never done wholesale before, then you maybe don't know your wholesale pricing, or you
Yeah.
haven't figured out what sort of case packs you should sell your product in, that sort of thing. So for those folks, we wouldn't want to drop them into an ecosystem of nearly 200,000 retailers
Yeah.
before they've sort of got their mechanics in place. But once you have your mechanics in place, then you're a great candidate to be on Faire. And part of our aim is to really make it so that we are sort of leveling the playing field for the little guys, where, the traditional model we were talking about before, it's incredibly expensive and your fees are not necessarily aligned with sales, right? You have all this
Yeah.
upfront cost of travel and a booth, et cetera. Whereas on the Faire platform, you come on and you're only paying a commission if we're driving you new customer orders. And so I think that it really is, provided you have some wholesale experience, it is a phenomenal place to take that emerging wholesale business and really grow it in a way that is very financially favorable.
Absolutely. I think, back in the day, well, still, people would use the freelance agents and they took a commission too. And you still had to do a lot of the credit control and things. So,
Mhm.
so this is a new way to do that, I suppose.
Mhm.
But you don't, so with the, when it comes to like criteria and stuff, you don't have, you just have to have some experience. It's not like you have to have loads of experience. I think that's what makes some people nervous about applying. So it's just nice to know that you don't have to be super established, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Another thing I've been asked a lot is a lot of the smaller brands here in the UK, when they go on the platform, would they automatically be selling to the US and other markets as well? Or can they decide when to start doing that and start with just the UK, for example? What is the options for them?
Yeah, it's a good question. For all of our brands within their portal, they have the ability to toggle on different geographies. So they could say, I want to sell in, the UK, but not other parts of the EU, or I want to sell in other parts of the EU, but not in the US. So those are controls, those are little dials that all brands on the platform can set in their storefront.
Oh, that's perfect because I suppose if you're very small, even if you have a little bit of experience, but someone like a ceramicist that hand make everything, they might be a bit nervous about shipping that overseas to start off with.
We try, and I guess you had touched on, I hadn't answered it, the question of lead times and things like that. We try and give the brands as much control over how they sell and present on the platform. So they get to say this, these are my lead times. They get to say this is where I can be shopped on the Faire platform. So we really try and let the brands be in the driver's seat.
What can you do to be shown to more people? Like how much of control do you have of that?
Yeah. So those things that sort of tell us, things like lead time, then end up being something that, a retailer can essentially filter around, right? So am I planning for a holiday that is 3 months away, or am I low inventory and I need something that can ship right away?
Yeah.
And so really it's about sort of accurately representing your products, and then our algorithms being able to then put that in front of someone who's looking for that, and play that sort of ultimate matchmaking service, and trying to get the right product in front of the right retailer, and not just for that first sale, but for ongoing reorders. We want that to
Yeah.
be a customer that you can cultivate over the long term. So it's really similar to what you've experienced as a consumer, where there's lots of different ways to browse. It's similar on Faire, where if I'm very specific to, I need something that can ship right away, I can filter accordingly.
Yeah.
Or if I just want to browse, there's infinite ability to do so on the platform as well.
I mean, there's so many products on the platform now. So I bet for buyers, they need to filter to be able to narrow it down slightly for them.
Our mobile app is really delightful to use, and I've had retailers say, I'm on the Faire app more than I am on Instagram, just scrolling and browsing, because it is, there's tons of wonderful things to find. And I think some of the beauty is, especially when you think about the retailers we serve, a single location, being able to think about what you want to stock your store with while you're in the store, walking around the store, pull out your phone and say, what should I put on this wall? Let me get some inspiration. It really is a powerful tool, that much more of this time, than I think the prior ways that we would source.
Yeah. And is there anything in particular that you find buyers are looking for? Do they often filter by shorter lead times, or made in the US or made in the UK, or whatever the filters may be?
Yeah, there's a lot of popular ones. I think one of the most popular is not sold on Amazon. So folks looking for something that they're confident wouldn't be found there. And then, yeah, there are things like women-owned, or like you said, UK brands. So if they want to find something that is within their own market, those are all popular. And then I guess in terms of categories, maybe a few I would highlight. Our apparel business has been growing at a really fast pace, and something that we're seeing is just the degree to which retailers who don't identify as sort of a core apparel retailer are buying apparel goods. And so it really speaks to those generalized gift shops, but who have an apparel section, right? And so we're seeing just a lot of growth in that category, and sort of shopping moving from being at exclusively apparel boutiques to these more diverse product selection offerings at stores.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then another category I'd highlight is food, where we're seeing a ton of innovation in food and beverage, and a lot of enthusiasm around unique products there as well. And so it's been really exciting to see that category flourish, and shops finding creative ways to take those unique products that are coming out in food, and merchandise them in their stores.
And there's so many. I suppose lockdowns and COVID has probably sprouted a lot of them too. We wanted to treat ourselves when we couldn't go out and eat.
Right.
Things like posh marshmallows, and even like postable donuts and stuff has been popular over here.
That sounds awfully good to me right now, actually.
I mean, to me too. Also cookies and biscuits, but those are also postable now. So, and brownies. There's been a lot. And cocktails as well. So we talked a little bit about the criteria from like a brand point of view, but does the retailers that sign up also have to meet certain criteria, or do they go through like a vetting process in a way?
Yeah, they go through a vetting process as well. And, most importantly, we want to ensure that they are in fact a retailer. They have sort of the appropriate licensing and reseller certifications, all of that. We do support both brick and mortar retailers as well as retailers who are online only. And certainly over the course of the past year, we just see even more, omni-channel, where folks are playing across all of these channels. But I mentioned before how sort of brands ultimately get to choose which orders to accept. And so brands also have the option of, if they only want to be shopped by brick and mortar stores, they can filter accordingly. Or if they're open to being sold by online only retailers as well, then they'll be visible for those retailers. So we have a really diverse set of retailers on the platform. Like I mentioned, it's across all of these categories, but the primary screening is, that's most important, is just making sure that they are absolutely a retailer, that they have all of the licensing to qualify to do so. And they also have to agree to important terms that we know are really important to our brands, in terms of honoring their pricing and not selling on third-party reselling sites. So we make sure that they're also making those commitments when they agree to shop on Faire.
I suppose that's important, because if a lot of people searching not sold on Amazon, for example, some brands wouldn't want to sell to someone that also sells on.
Exactly.
Because then they breaking that commitment as well.
Right, exactly. I think one of the things that is really powerful in terms of brands being able to get discovered by new retailers is the fact that there is so much diversity in the types of retailers on our platform. So you may have had sort of a, sales and go-to-market motion around a particular profile of store. And then in coming on Faire, you find that there's another profile of store where you do actually exceptionally well. And we hear these stories all the time. In fact, a food brand recently, that kind of all of their existing wholesale operations were around getting into specialty food boutiques. And they came on Faire and they found that sort of these kids and baby boutiques, they did really, really well. And it sort of speaks to that, cross-pollination across categories, where you step back and you go, actually, a really unique, fun cookie, I can see how that would do incredibly well in a kids and baby store. And yet I also understand how it wouldn't really be super rational for a brand to do a whole sales and marketing motion around kids and baby, but to be able to come on Faire, discover that fit with that category, to be able to be discovered by more of those types of retailers. There's just this cross-pollination across categories that really opens up, new customer audiences for brands. And I love hearing stories like that.
And actually, with that in mind, does that mean, can brands sit in several categories, or can they only, do they have to choose one category and then it's up to the buyer to look for that other category?
Yeah,
I hope that made sense.
Yeah. So they essentially, we have a pretty complex taxonomy, where they identify, what are the types of products they sell. And then any retailer, across these categories can shop across all those product types. So it's not, if you're a kids and baby retailer, you're kind of sent into the kids and baby section alone. They can see everything. And so it's really about the brands communicating clearly via the product tagging and things. This is what I have. And then that helps our algorithm get it in front of folks who might like that thing that you have.
Yeah, versus the brand being say it's a beauty product, but a beauty product nowadays can also be a gifting product. It could be lots of other types. It can be a beach product. Say it's a beach beauty product. I don't know. It would still sit in the beauty product category, right? It wouldn't also be discovered in the beach category.
That's right. I will say the taxonomy is getting, with every day, more, I guess, refined in descriptive in what things are. So our ability to get very sort of nuanced. I don't know if we have beach beauty as a particular category, but never say never. It is actually that sort of thing that you want to be able to articulate. And it's been fun to see actually how our category tree has evolved over time and just will continue to do so.
Yeah.
It's all in that pursuit of trying to get the right thing in front of the right buyer.
What I think is that is the benefit with a trade show. I'm just thinking how these platforms like Faire could introduce a potential buyer to something they would have never thought of. When you walk a trade show, sometimes you will walk down an aisle and you're in the gifting category and you will see a beauty brand or you will see a food brand, but not in the food hall because you don't visit the food hall. You will see it in the gifting hall and you go, oh yeah, I could stock that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas that, making that into like turning that sort of thing into like an online thing that is so clever that it can do that is hard. So it's
Yeah,
interesting to hear what you say.
it's both hard and in many ways easier, right? Because those halls and those positionings are all rigid in a
Mm.
trade show environment, and so they have to stay the same. So if you and I go to the same show, we walk down the same halls, right? And so
Yeah,
in
this
some
is true.
ways, I think of shopping on Faire as, you know, we're actually doing that same walk down the hall. It's just that your hall is different than my hall. And the hall is actually dynamically adjusting based on what you stop and look at and what you pick up and what you linger on. And how cool is that to imagine? It's much more, you know, it's tailored to you personally. And so I think we very much are trying to achieve those same moments of serendipity, of something that you just discovered that you didn't even know maybe you were looking for, but that ends up being an amazing bestseller for your store. We absolutely want those moments to happen. I think what's exciting is that we actually have the fluidity of it being a digital canvas where we really tailor it to each individual buyer.
Yeah, I think that is so interesting. I mean, for someone like me that don't really get the whole tech thing, I don't understand how it works, but like if I've been thinking about something and then I get an ad for it on Instagram, I'm like, wow. So I suppose it's interesting to see how those things develop in the future. And I'm sure like the more buyer you have and the more brands, the more you learn from that data, the cleverer that will become.
Exactly. It really can get smarter over time, and folks purchase more on Faire. We get a more rich understanding of who you are and the, you know, the store that you have and the things that will do well. And so that ends up being really powerful as well. And you know, it's one of those things that we have an incredibly talented team of data scientists who work on these problems, and they're incredibly complex. And the amazing thing is, you know, you come to the site and it's sort of invisible, but there's all of this really, really powerful machine learning and going on in the background to make it so that you have a really fulfilling shopping experience. You know, it's not by chance that we're driving a lot of order volume. You know, it is like
No, of course not.
having that, but it can be, yeah, it isn't sort of front and center. It's just happening behind the scenes. You don't know why you saw this product that you're so excited about, but you did. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And behind the scenes, there's these super talented, you know, engineers and data scientists who are creating models to make that happen. It's really, I'm like you, I you know, don't have great depth of understanding of it, but huge respect and appreciation for
Oh, me
those
too.
folks.
Like I find it fascinating.
Yeah.
It's great hearing how the system is learning.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought to wrap things up, I thought it'd be nice to do like kind of like I've never done this before, so I don't know how well I will do it. but just short questions and answers.
Sounds great.
So someone asked, how long does it take before you get a yes and a no once you applied, if you're a supplier or a brand?
We currently do have a wait list across most categories. So we're often, you know, accepting maybe 20% of those applicants. We do try to get back to folks quickly to let them know if they're on that wait list. And then, of course, as the platform grows and we're confident we have the demand there for that additional supply, we invite folks on. But one thing I would say is in particular right now, especially in a moment where we're growing a market like the UK, I think that acceptance rate is probably much higher as we're looking to grow. So I would encourage folks to maybe apply now, because I'm sure those wait lists will eventually come to a market like the UK. But I think right now we're really excited to welcome new brands onto the platform.
Brilliant. And I suppose it does really depend on the category too, because you know what your buyers are looking for and from what they're searching for, I guess.
That's right.
And in terms of, someone asked about the payment thing, because before you've had to have a US, not bank account, but like one of those transfer wise things. is that going to remain, or are they going to be able to be paid in like to their UK bank account at one stage?
I may need to follow up and get you the answer so that you could share that with your questioner to confirm. I want to make sure I'm giving you the latest and greatest on that.
Yeah, of course. You're opening a UK office, someone said to me.
Yes, absolutely. In London, we have our first employees there.
Is it already open?
Well, no, in that we have employees.
I suppose it's
But,
lockdown.
exactly. It's as open as our U.S. offices are, which it's not right now. So
it's kind of there, but like not in physical form.
Yeah, exactly. But what's funny is with things with the business growing there so fast, we have, I think, over a dozen who have been hired already, and sort of planning to hire dozens more. So in some ways, it will be a significant office when when we have the opportunity to send people into it. So we're really excited for that.
That's so cool. Are you going to get to come and visit the UK, do you think?
I certainly hope so.
That would be nice. Someone also asked, can we just kind of clarify what markets you are currently in? So you said obviously the UK and Netherlands, which are the two new ones, and then of course the US, but are you also in Canada?
Yes, we are in Canada, and we have been for some time. So we have a really significant business there. We also have a very large office there, and a lot of our team is based there. So strong roots in Canada.
That's brilliant. I think throughout our conversation, I believe we covered all the questions. I just thought it'd be nice to get you top 3 tips on being successful on the platform. I know we discussed it a bit, but maybe this top 3 things you think a brand can do to stand out.
Yeah, I think one is just really applying that love and polish to how they present themselves on the platform, really taking care we talked about the product photography, but you have this space to tell your brand story, like really tell it, you have, a beautiful header image, it's a great sort of landscape to really share the vibe and what your brand represents. So we have a lot of various tools that you can make use of, and really taking, pride and ownership and full use of everything that's available there. Like the, video we touched on, that's new. So not everybody is doing that yet, but, it's taking full advantage of those capabilities. So one is just really investing in that storefront. It's your face to the buyer, and sort of treating it as such. I think another is using didn't really touch on it much, but on the back end for brands, we have a ton of tools for really managing your business. And some of them are really robust sort of sales and marketing and CRM tools. So really using the platform as a way of engaging your customer base. So we have an email tool that lets you drag and drop products and say, new arrivals, here it is. And what's beautiful about they're really easy to make. We have templates. You have all of your customer info that you can reach out to in the system there. We give you analytics on, open rate and click-through rate. So you get all this great intelligence about how those marketing messages are performing for you. And it's just a really great way to maintain those close customer ties. And I think that folks who have really take full advantage of those CRM capabilities in the platform are more successful, because they end up building tighter relationships with the customers. The customers know when they have new products or promotions that they're running, and that helps further drive, engagement and reorders. So I think that really robustly using those back-end tools is probably the other biggest, determinant. And then it also relates to engaging those existing customers that I mentioned, at the top, of sort of being able to serve them all at 0%. It also is then great because as those, loyal buyers, engage with your brand on Faire, it also helps our platform learn what a great product line you have, and what a good bestseller you are, and you're able to engage your existing prior customers and the new ones you get in Faire kind of all from one place. And so it really helps you streamline your business. So I think that is definitely sort of the other one that I would prioritize as a brand to be successful. And honestly, I think those are probably, I could think of a third, but I almost don't want to give a third.
No.
Like those two are so prominent that I would just underscore those.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I do think it's, we touched on like owning that relationship and engaging with your customer. That goes for any sales. So you have to take that advantage, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it becomes that impersonal relationship that some people are maybe a little bit worried about going on a platform like this for. Use those messaging services and that sort of thing. So it's not that.
Yeah. We just want to make doing those things easier and more streamlined, and we want to take away the parts of the work that are less fulfilling. We take away the calling and asking for the credit card number, because the first one, like we take away collections and stuff, and try and make that part of your life just easier and go away. And then we try and make these things that are still really integral of sort of engaging your customers, we just try and make it easier to do. We try and make it so that email, it's super easy to put together and to pull in your products, and when it gets to the customer, it's really easy to drop them into where they can transact and make that purchase. So we try and make it so that less of the things that are just truly draining, and then for the things that are value add, can we make them easier and faster and more streamlined for your team?
That's brilliant. Well, I've really enjoyed chatting with you.
Likewise.
Thank you so much.
Likewise. It's been such a pleasure. You're really, I'm going to have to get myself on that list of people who are raising their hand to come and visit our London operations. This is making me want to go even more.
Well, I think have you ever been to London before?
I have, but it's been far too long. So
you should definitely, but do it in the summer or like spring, summer. Do not come in the winter. It's cold.
Yeah, I will try and avoid that for sure. I'm a native of California, and I spent some time in Chicago and New York, and so I've known harsh cold, and I have decided it is not for me.
Yeah, but it's also more rainy here.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely it should come. I think it would be really exciting and to see.
Absolutely.
And also to see, how our shops are not different, but slightly different, I suppose, like the kind of shops that we have here that would buy on the platform.
Absolutely.
It's nice to see.
It's been so fun getting to know the UK brands on the platform, as well as some of the retailers, and just, getting to know High Street more personally through our customers. It really, we love getting to know our customers, and yeah, it makes us want nothing more than to be able to go visit them all in person. In fact, we oftentimes, for the holidays and things, Faire employees will come back and share the various Faire retailers that they visited in their hometown, or where they're going to visit their in-laws, and they'll say, check out this store that I stopped by. And it's just it's so fun that we can get to know our customers so personally, and they really inspire the work we do. And so it's just so lovely that we can have that opportunity to go see them in person.
Yeah, and it makes like shopping small and finding those independent retailers so much easier too, which is lovely. Yeah. And although it is quite difficult when you know a lot of them to not spend a lot of money.
This is true. This is absolutely true. Also, knowing all of our brands, I agonize over gift giving now, just because I feel like I have such an abundance of brands that I know and love that I want to share with my friends. Yeah.
Expectations are high now. Exactly. When you know of these brands.
I'm I'm in the biz, so I definitely need to be gifting well.
Yeah, I do feel that my wish list though for Christmas has gotten very much better in the last few years.
Right.
It's very long nowadays. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And I guess we should finish with if a UK brand or any brand, if we do have listeners from other places too, are interested to get involved, do they just go to faire.com and apply?
Yeah, they can just go to faire.com and we'll get them to the right place. There's whether they're a retailer or a brand, we'll get them headed down the right path. So, and we would love to have them.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And I hope that you will have a lovely day. You're starting yours. I'm coming to end of my working day. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me today. It was really so lovely chatting with you. And yeah, enjoy your puppy visit. I am feeling a little jealous.
I will definitely enjoy it. Thank you so much, Sara, for coming on the podcast and sharing all your knowledge and tips with us. It was really lovely to chat with you. And thank you so much for taking so much time to chat with us. If you need help with your wholesale, I run courses and I offer one-to-one mentoring over 3 and 6 months to help you start and grow your wholesale. You can find out all about it over on my website, which is smallbusinesscollaborative.co.uk. And of course, give me a follow over on Instagram, which is at small_business_collaborative, and come and join my free Facebook group called Let's Talk Shop. Just search for it or find the link over on my website or in the show notes. So thank you very, very much for listening, and I will be back next week with another episode.